dying for your attention right now, but you want to waste it on somebody who's not even thinking about you.
You know what I'm saying?
Come on.
Out there
Get a job.
spying on her mom. Like, that's the
On
thing
her
that's
mama
crazy to me.
in an open carry state. He playing games. He was asking for trouble.
He was not, I believe, because he also didn't show up. He didn't respond to any of the orders that were sent. He didn't show up in court, of course, hoping for, a lesser default judgment or whatever. But the judge was like, no, no, I'm not playing those games with you. And naturally, he's not a billionaire. I don't know if he's a multi-millionaire. It doesn't sound as such
No.
because she said part of the spiral and the breakup that led to their breakup was that he had lost his job, and that can take an impact and a toll on people, and people respond in various ways, but not this way.
No, I've lost a lot of jobs. I never started stalking my ex or nothing like that or spiting nothing. Now I done been pissed off and contained myself. As a matter of fact, when I lost my last deal in November, I had to sit down in the house for a couple months. I didn't stalk nobody. I was a little angry and upset, but I had to regroup and pull it together. It wasn't no stalking or no. Keep your stuff to yourself. Unravel by yourself in your house. It's another job. It's more people to have carnal pleasures with. Pull yourself together and reinvest the time in yourself.
I know that's right. Well, we're going to talk about later this hour about unrequited love. I came across a video on Instagram of, I think it was Just Living Baby. It might not have been her. It might have just been, there's so many podcasts now.
Yes.
But it was about, she was expressing how, well, I'll just give you a tease.
She wanted to go on. I saw that she wanted to go on a date or something.
Yeah,
and
she wanted to go on a date.
Don't
She
we
was
all?
tired. She was tired of, like, she felt like she just had all of these feelings for this individual, and she knew the individual had told her, "Don't see it anymore for us. This isn't working for me."
Yeah.
And she took that in, understood it, but still wanted the person, and was like, it was hard in trying to deal with those feelings. And I suppose to a degree the individual involved in the 1.2 billion, I almost said million, $1 billion judgment probably at some point felt that way. But it can turn unhealthy. And I just, wonder, especially in this time where there's so many more ways to be connected to people, but people are even more disconnected and not really forging those authentic connections.
Yeah.
I just wonder how people can become more connected and engaged when everything is through the phone. I mean, we talked about last week about how in California, between the ages of 19 to 30,
18 to 30. Yeah.
that they said that they are like 38% aren't having
Not
sex
sexually active.
at all.
I polled on my Insta story today. I got about 15 votes so far. Are y'all doing it or not? And do you know that all of the answers are unanimous no?
I mean, it's a lot happening right now. We're still,
I feel like a
COVID was
whore.
not that long
Am I
ago.
the only one that's doing it?
Listen, we do not have to talk about that.
Okay.
You know.
I'm just saying. I feel away. I'm like I feel bad, but I also feel like am I supposed to just blend in and say
You were supposed to
be
do
quiet?
whatever works for you.
Okay.
If you are popping in that way,
I feel bad.
you are popping.
I want everyone to be out here dating and doing it with somebody because y'all deserve.
They can't. Everybody's not finding their person. That is apparent.
Y'all deserve.
Everybody deserves.
Listen, I want it to
Listen.
happen. It's 2023. Everybody should be getting it in. It's easier than ever. We shouldn't be no stalking. It's not even enough room for all this. It's crazy to me. It don't make no sense.
Maybe they were Sagittarius.
You can
No, I'm
order,
just saying,
or a
I'm just-
Virgo. You can order food at the drop of a dime. You can order all. How come y'all can't get dates and carnal pleasures at the drop of a dime? It don't make no sense to me. It don't make sense in my brain. It doesn't make it make sense. Somebody.
Here's the thing, you can get access to these people, but like I said, and we've had this conversation before, not everyone has the same level of communication skills. Again, even though there
I
are so
guess.
many ways for us to connect with individuals,
Because you know what?
so many ways to talk.
That's true. I be macking people up. I talk to people, and that's the thing.
You run game.
No, it's not even a game. You have to. I think the people don't talk. They're afraid to talk. Everything, every conversation has led me to something bigger and better. You have to talk to people. You can't have a relationship or even build to engage if you don't talk or say anything. You have to talk. That's the basis.
Communication is
Yeah.
key. It is important. How else can you express what you need, what
Talking
you
gets you
like, and
places.
value?
Yeah.
It does, speaking out. But again, if you're unsure or you've had limited experience, the way that we gain experience is through doing. And if these people aren't doing, and by doing, I mean connecting and, understanding the get to know you phase and not just sending each other
it's not even all
emojis.
that. You just got to talk. I was at the bar last night.
Oh, Lord.
Listen, I was at the bar last night, and literally somebody came and sat next to me. They said, "Is someone sitting here?" I said, "No." They took the chair and they moved over just a bit. And I said, "You know what?" I said, "I'm so grateful that you understand personal space. Thank you for having courtesy." That person bought me a drink just because I gave a compliment.
Well, there it
That's
is right
simple.
now. Speak up.
Just say hello, give a compliment, and you don't even know where it can lead you. Nothing happened after that. It was just a simple drink. It was a simple exchange. Talk. You never know where it's going to lead you.
Well, when we come forward, we're going to talk about a celebrity divorce that's looming on the horizon, and there are threats to expose information. Obviously, we're on a lot of this tonight.
Y'all are burnt out. Just shut up and go sit down somewhere before somebody starts exposing y'all.
We're also going to get into our Tubi movie review. God forgives, I don't.
I love Tubi.
And we're going to have more trending topics and headlines. You were checking out RSVP with Jill Munroe here on KBLA Talk 1580.
Trending topics and the hottest happenings. You're listening to RSVP with Jill Munroe on KBLA Talk 1580.
The Los Angeles Urban League helps African American and others in underserved communities achieve true social parity, economic self-reliance, and civil rights. For over 100 years, Los Angeles Urban League has ensured our communities have access to careers with living wages, opportunities to start and grow businesses, and clear pathways to personal and professional growth. Programs like Biz Camp, Construction Career Academy, Bob Business Ready, and B-Warp. The Black Wealth Attainment and Retention Program are examples of the ongoing events designed to make our centennial mission to rebuild Black Wall Street right here in LA a reality. To sign up for our newsletter or to support the Los Angeles Urban League with your time, talent, and donations, visit laul.org. That's laul.org. The Los Angeles Urban League is a proud sponsor of Urban Family Focus, Saturdays at 7 a.m. on KBLA Talk 1580.
My ride smells just right, just right, just right, just right.
Y'all gotta try that Febreze car.
Just right, just right, just right. Yeah. La 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 la. With up to 40 days of consistency, on low Febreze car clips right on your vent. You know my car's my happy place. Keep that smile on my face when it smells just right, just right, just right. Yeah. Breathe happy Febreze. La 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 la.
KBLA Talk 1580. We've got a lot to talk about.
KBLA Talk 1580 joins you in standing for education as a right, not a privilege. Charles R. Drew University of Medicine and Science is a private, non-profit, community-founded, student-centered university committed to cultivating diverse health profession leaders who are dedicated to social justice and health equity for underserved populations. CDU does this through outstanding education, clinical service, and community engagement. Recently, Charles Drew University made history by opening only the 5th medical school at an historically black university. Congratulations, South LA, and congratulations to the dean of the medical school, Dr. Deborah Protho-Stith. CDU is now training doctors and providing $90 million in annual economic benefit to Watts and surrounding neighborhoods. To apply for medical school, get more information, or sign your child up for the Junior Doctors Saturday School program, visit cdrewu.edu. That's cdrewu.edu. At KBLA, we are dedicated to equity in education and ending healthcare apartheid, and we don't black down. This is a community call to action from KBLA Talk 1580.
Hey, keeping you informed, entertained, and always ahead of the curve. This is RSVP with Jill Munroe on KBLA Talk 1580.
You are locked into RSVP with Jill Munroe here on KBLA Talk 1580. VIPs, you know it is the third hour. You know what that means. It is the after hours. That's when the velvet ropes come down. The conversation heats up a little bit, and, we get off into different sort of topics. Before we get into the trending topics and headlines more for this evening with our guest, Trent the artist, Trent Jackson.
What's poppin'?
I have to wish a happy birthday to Angela Bassett.
I love Angela
It is
Bassett.
still her birthday here in LA. Angela Bassett turned 65 years old today.
Wow.
You know, 8 down Angela. You know, she is I guess, the quintessential figure, icon that women sort of set up as an example now for classic beauty at a later age in life.
Yes.
You know, we had Diane Carroll for many years, rest in peace. There's lots of women that capitalize it, but I think Angela is someone that we think of, and she sort of crystallizes that image
For sure.
us. So happy birthday, Angela.
A
Shout
Leo.
out to you. Huh?
A Leo.
She is a Leo. Megan Good's birthday was, I believe, yesterday. So a lot of Leo birthdays popping off this week. We love the sun. A little fire. I'm a Leo rising, so, you know, I like a little fire in my life.
Really? A Leo rising.
I'm a Leo rising and a Sag moon. So a lot of
My
fire
mother's
here, baby.
My mother's a Leo rising.
Is she really?
Mhm.
Okay. But you know that Taurus sun, it
She's a
grounds me.
Taurus moon.
Is she really?
Is, yes.
Okay. Interesting.
Very.
Anyway, listen, I feel like there's something else behind that, so I'm just going to move along, move around. I'm going to leave it where it's at, because if you are not being forthcoming with it, I probably maybe don't want to know. Maybe. I don't know.
I think I was forthcoming enough.
You think so?
Yeah.
Okay.
Enough innuendo there to put it all together.
Tantalizing.
Yep.
Okay. So, I mentioned that there's a celebrity divorce looming, right? And
I
so,
think we all saw this coming.
yeah, it's obvious that it was going to happen. But what I want to ask you is, so Britney Spears' husband, they have filed for divorce. I'm not sure who filed first.
Sam did, I think.
Sam did file first. Okay. But we know there was a prenup, right? And so now he is saying if they want him to keep her secrets, right, he needs more money from the prenup. A source exclusively told Page Six that the family business actor, he's 29 years old, is attempting to negotiate concessions beyond his prenup and threatening to go public with extraordinarily embarrassing information about Britney unless he gets paid. This is my question, though, right? We know that Britney was under a conservatorship for many years, right? We see the videos with Britney's slightly skewed eyeliner.
I love the videos dancing.
Twirling in her living room.
They're great.
Hitting
Keep them coming, baby.
Hitting that "Hit Me Baby One More Time" choreography.
Because in slow motion.
Piece of me.
We're not getting a tour, so this is the closest we're going to get.
I've seen Britney live in concert.
When she was in Vegas?
Or
before?
It was when Britney and Nicki Minaj were on tour together. I saw it at Staples.
What was the timeline on this? Was this before the conservatorship and the drugs and stuff?
I feel like it was after the conservatorship.
Okay.
Maybe after Vegas. So, I mean...
So she was a robot?
A little bit, yeah. A little bit.
Heavily drugged.
You know, I don't know that. I cannot say for certain.
Well, it's unfortunate because but we know that she, because of the things that came out about the conservatorship, she was heavily drugged during that Vegas run, and she said that she was on heavily medicated on antidepressants and lithium and stuff like that.
You know, I feel you. I agree. No, she did say that. We talked about it. It was in the court documents. What I am saying, though, is that this particular show, I do not know, because it wasn't during the Vegas run, if that was a part of it. But, you know, safe to say we probably can assume. But my question is, knowing all of that about Britney, we know that she is unstable. We know that her and her sons are estranged. We've heard various things from them. We remember when they were babies and people CPS came and investigated her because she had one of her sons in her lap driving when he was like 3.
Love it.
No seatbelt. You know, things like that. So my thought process is, realistically, even if you put something totally crazy about Britney, there is sympathy for her because we know that she is experiencing some degree of mental crisis. We don't know at what point, what aspect she's at, where she is currently at, or whatever, but we know that has been a part of her situation, right? We also know that, again, we've seen her behavior. So I just question, and again, we understand that threats are threats, but What could you really put out there that's really going to hurt her at this stage?
Nothing. We know everything, and even if we don't, even stuff that we don't know, we've already thought it and guessed it, so it happened in our mind anyway.
Right.
And again, just like Keke Palmer, in the court of public opinion, we love Britney Spears. She's a national treasure, child. Listen, there's nothing that you could do at this point to change us from liking her. So all this makes you look like is crazy. He took a playbook out of the Renee Elizondo book with Janet Jackson years ago.
I mean, really, he took a page from her first husband's playbook, from Kevin Federline's playbook, without the kids.
Without the kids. So yeah, we saw this coming. We knew that he was going to do this. It's a I can't say that on air. It's a difficult situation. It's a beta move is what it is.
Let me ask you this, because there are some people saying that, again, the expectation was that this would happen and that Britney probably shouldn't have been let out of her conservatorship if they're judging by her behavior since she has been freed of it. What are your thoughts on that?
Look, since the beginning of time, people have been out of control and crazy drug addicts with their money. If they want to spend out and look, if people perform and dance and do all this stuff for the whole world's entertainment, let people spend their money and live their lives and do whatever they want to do, how they want to do it. People have no control over that, period. So people make their own choices and their own decisions. That's what she wants to do it. Because, see, we don't know the other side of it. We don't know what it's like to be working on the stage, for 50 shows a month or whatever the crazy astronomical number was, and having all these people pulling at you. We don't know what that's like and the toll that it takes. Listen, if I was doing all that and all these people, I'm a cash cow for somebody, the first thing I want to do is go home and sit up and smoke reefer all night and not be bothered with nobody, okay? Get back, let me do me. I don't have time. So let Britney be Britney. She done work, she done dance. Look.
Do you think that, though, going through a divorce and so much with everything else that she's going to will cause her to spiral?
Has she stopped spiraling?
I mean,
That's
further, because there's no companionship effectively, someone that
we don't know. Apparently, she stepped out on a relationship and she's been, having an extramarital affair, which is why she's got a divorce. So we don't know what she got going on.
Okay.
She might be having a time at Calabasas. Listen, baby, and the way she's trolling around in the stripper pole, we can already guess what she's doing in her spare time when Sam is gone driving around.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you think that? I mean, I do think that
it's out here.
I believe that. I do think that it is a fair point to think about. We also don't know what it is like to be
held
in a
hostage in
relationship,
your own house.
With someone that is dealing with the things that Britney is dealing with. I'm sure part two to that is it may sound all good. Like maybe you thought they were exaggerating. Maybe, you thought it's not as bad as it sounds, right? And then you actually get into the situation and you're like, oh, wait. It's really kind of wild in here.
It's wild west, and you think you can handle something, and we don't know. He probably needs more money for all the stuff that he did do. But you shouldn't be trying
for therapy.
Yeah, you shouldn't be trying to blackmail somebody or hold it over the head, because guess what? When you signed up for this, you knew that you was going into a circus freak show before you went in.
I agree.
So look,
and you signed that prenup.
You signed that prenup. So take what you signed, homeboy,
There's no kids.
And bounce.
Like, listen, there are no children, so there's...
Because if he keep playing, he gonna come up missing.
You think so?
Jamie Spears ain't playing around with Britney still. Listen,
you think?
She got a brother and a daddy.
She does.
Listen, so family is gonna be family. Let me tell you something right now. I got some thugs for cousins, okay? Ain't talked to them in years. If something happened to me or something go down, trust and believe they coming to get me.
Okay.
They coming.
They got it. You got backup.
Yep.
Well, let me ask you this: what about if you don't have backup? What do people do if they find themselves in those situations?
Listen,
like I said with that last story about the girl that her dude was stalking her and her mom. What if what if you don't have somebody to call?
There's always backup. You might not want to call them because they might be the people say I told you so, but there's always somebody to call. You just don't want to call them. Trust me on that.
Okay.
Sometimes you just gotta, break it down and be like, you know what, you was right. You gotta take that L, eat that humble pie, and break down and make that call. Because I've had to do it before.
Okay, like Mystical said, you don't gotta call.
Listen,
it's okay, girl.
It's always somebody to call.
It's always somebody to call.
Listen.
Well, we're gonna get into, and I'm leaning on you for this,
Uh-oh.
because I have to be honest. I started, but then I was like, hey, I can't do this right now.
It was a lot.
I know it was a lot.
Tell me how far you got.
I would like, because you gave me a brief summary when I called to clarify on what the Tubi film is tonight. We're talking about our Tubi reviews. Every week here we pick a different Tubi movie or series to review because it was recommended by you for us. And, Tubi movies are a whole genre of themselves.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? They sometimes cannot be defined by traditional means and measures. And that's the fun of it, Oftentimes they're not going to have stars that you are necessarily familiar with in them. And a lot of them are allegedly based on a true story.
Filmed in Detroit.
Detroit is the Tubi film capital of the world.
Yes.
So, and I keep forgetting this Tubi movie that went to #1. I'm blanking on the name, but my friend's brother was one of the stars in it. And he wants to clock it. Of course, he's in Detroit, though, so we on a little late. But I got to remember, he said he would stay up late and talk to us. I really want to have that conversation. But, yeah, God forgives, I don't.
That was a movie, man. That was a movie. Shout out to the Urban Spencer. She said that she saw it.
Okay.
And
So you got to give us the scenario. What is the premise of the film?
The premise of the film is about a very popular pastor who came to popularity during the rise of COVID. So he did a lot of Insta lives, got popular and famous, and he had a friend that he grew up with that was his best friend, kind of on the other side. I wouldn't call him on the other side of the tracks, but just kind of a person that wasn't in the cloth, so to speak. So one of his regular civilian friends.
A homie.
Yeah. Best friend, he came into some money because he got into a situation while on campus, going to school, and he decided to sow a seed into his friend's ministry and help him open a church. He's got this First lady wife who's overzealous. She's trying to decorate the church. She's trying to shop and spend all the money before she gets it. Her husband's trying to be very modest. She's trying to upgrade the wardrobe and be popping for the gram. And, he's not with it. So, long story short, the wife starts getting an influx of money. And the husband has questions. And the husband starts sniffing around. And he makes a discovery that his wife has been getting hush money from the best friend. And it's because of a specific reason that has something to do with the reason why the best friend got a payout in college.
Okay.
So the movie takes a turn, and the pastor ends up there's a gun, there's a kid, there's a best friend and a wife, and 2 people end up dead.
Listen.
In the church.
In the church.
In the back room of the church.
So, how many boxes of popcorn are we giving it out of 5?
Wow, that's an interesting one.
It's an interesting one because why?
Because you know what?
So here's the thing.
It's
We've
very
set
layered.
up.
It's very layered, but it talks about a specific element that most black people don't want to talk about that has affected a lot of black people. It's sexual abuse. So it's what one father will do and how far the parent will go to protect their child.
Okay. All right. Well, so again, how many popcorn boxes?
Let's see. For the story, we'll give it 4 for the story because it's something that happens. It's something that's not talked about. So I like stories that kind of shake the table and make us, talk about things that we don't want to talk about and shy away from. I'll give it a 3.5 overall.
3.5 boxes of popcorn.
3.5 boxes of popcorn because the acting was believable to an extent, but there were a couple things. It was like, yeah.
You don't know.
Yeah.
There's always going to be a couple of things.
Yeah.
Well, shout out to Urban Spinster in the chat. I guess she just recommended what we're going to watch next week.
Yeah.
She said, All I Want Is You, parts 1 and 2. We're only going to watch part 1. We'll come back to part 2. She said, with Claudia Jordan, it's good. Shout out to Claudia CJ. It's the homegirl.
Yeah.
The scenes were suspect at certain points, like wearing lashes and weave during a 5-year jail sentence. But
got
you
them
know,
good look, if they got cell phones, they got lashes and wigs too.
They probably got somebody in there hooking it up.
Yep.
You know, I mean, listen, they might sell it out of the commissary.
Might be dyeing some ramen noodles and doing like a old school braid hairstyle. You never know.
You never know. They are creative. Everybody's so creative. Shout out to that TikToker. I don't know her name that says that, but you know, I'm sure the jailhouse girlies know how to hook it up. I'm sure there is beauty and fashion in its own way underneath there. And you know
what she made that foundation out of? Oh, cocoa and
yes,
soda.
We watched that.
Pepsi
yes,
and
a
Swiss
little
Miss.
Swiss Miss. Yes, a little Swiss Miss to get get you that cocoa complexion and make sure it has some color. Get you a little tan going on.
Let me find out, Rihanna.
I don't need to find out, you know. But hey, be an entrepreneur so that you can make your way when you come home. I'm not mad at that. When we come forward, we will have more on the Tubi movie God Forgives, I Don't. Of course, we're going to get into more trending topics and headlines. You are locked into RSVP with Jill Munroe here on KBLA Talk 1580. News and sports is up next.
Infusing a sense of fun and entertainment in every episode. You're listening to RSVP with Jill Munroe on KBLA Talk 1580. More when we come forward.
I'm Esther Dillard, and here's the latest from the Black Information Network. CNN is reporting Black Fulton County District Attorney Fonnie Willis has asked for a trial date of March 4th, 2024 for former President Donald Trump and his 18 co-defendants. All are accused of crimes involving an alleged scheme of overturning the 2020 election. The request would potentially put the trial a day before Trump competes in the Super Tuesday primary contests. Meantime, the White House can't confirm the comments attributed to Black American soldier Travis King, who crossed into North Korea last month. Black Press Secretary Karine Jean-Pierre said officials have not had contact with North Korea or King. State-run media in North Korea confirmed King crossed into the territory and claimed he did so to flee abuse and racism in the U.S. military. King sprinted into North Korea while on tour of the demilitarized zone. And that's the latest. I'm Esther Dillard from the Black Information Network and BINnews.com.
Need an accident attorney by your side? All you got to do is call the accident guys.
Injured in a car accident or at work? Call the accident guys. Because unlike other firms, an attorney will negotiate your case, not a paralegal.
To boldly go where no man has gone before.
Boldly taking talk radio where it has never gone before. New vistas, new voices, new views, new visions. New victories. We're KBLA Talk 1580, and we're taking public media black. KBLA Talk 1580. We've got a lot to talk about.
The rent is too damn high. KBLA joins you in calling for affordable housing. The LA Tenants Union is a diverse, tenant-led movement fighting for the human right to housing for all. The LA Tenants Union demands safe, affordable housing and union rent control. They organize against landlord harassment, mass evictions, and displacement, and mobilize for the repeal of the Ellis Act and Costa-Hawkins Act. The LA Tenants Union is on a mission to strengthen tenants' political power through education, advocacy, and direct action. To get help with your eviction or other landlord-tenant issues, take action for justice, or become a member, visit latenantsunion.org. This is a community call to action from KBLA Talk 1580.
Ew, gotta get rid of this old Backstreet Boys t-shirt.
Tell me why.
Because it stinks, boys.
Tell me why.
I've washed it so many times, but the odor won't come out.
Tell me why.
No, you tell me why I can't get rid of this odor.
Have you tried new Downy Rinse and Refresh? It doesn't just cover up odors, it helps remove them.
Wow, it worked, guys.
Yeah.
Downy Rinse and Refresh removes more odor in one wash than the leading value detergent in 3 washes. Find it wherever you buy laundry products.
Some people won't give you the real talk on drugs, but it's time we know the facts. Fentanyl is killing people. It's a powerful opioid, often made illegally and commonly mixed with illicit drugs. It can even be pressed into counterfeit pills that resemble prescription medications. Just 2 milligrams, about the size of a few grains of sand, can potentially be lethal. This isn't an ad to scare you, but it is an ad to make you think twice. Get the facts. Go to realdealonfentanyl.com. This message is brought to you by the Ad Council.
Meet Joe A, Joe B, and Joe C.
What's up?
3 everyday Joes perfecting their banking with Chase. Joe A is locking his lost debit card with the Chase mobile app. Joe B is cruising toward his new ride with AutoSave. And Joe C's Chase banker is helping him budget to go back to school. Tools that help protect. Support for what's next. One bank that puts you in control. Visit chase.com/checking. Chase. Make more of what's yours.
Chase mobile app is available for select mobile devices. Messaging and data rates may apply. JP Morgan Chase Bank, N.A. member FDIC.
I'm Dominique DePrima. We can all fall into the trap of mindlessly spending sometimes. I know I do it. But one tip for staying on track is when you have an impromptu purchase that comes up, try making a habit of taking a quick look at your bank account balance before you buy it. It's not just about seeing how much you have in your checking account. Just looking at your account might put the urge to make that impulse purchase into perspective and help you make better choices that'll benefit you for the long term. Whatever your financial goals, U.S. Bank Access Commitment Initiatives can help support you in reaching them. Access your financial goals at usbank.com/access. Member FDIC, Equal Housing Lender.
The possibility of lung cancer can be pretty scary, especially if you're one of approximately 8 million current or former smokers at high risk. That's why SaveByTheScan.org wants you to know that now there's a breakthrough low-dose CT scan that can detect lung cancer early, and it only takes 60 seconds. You stop smoking, now start screening. For an easy quiz to see if you're eligible, visit SaveByTheScan.org. It could save your life. SaveByTheScan.org is brought to you by the American Lung Association's Lung Force Initiative and the Ad Council.
The California Crusader newspaper would like to thank all of our subscribers for their support throughout the years, proudly serving the South Los Angeles and South Bay areas for more than 40 years. The California Crusader is a multicultural, black-owned, adjudicated newspaper that focuses on providing newsworthy information to the people in our community. We're constantly looking for ways to assist businesses in our community to connect with our subscribers. We provide low-cost, effective ways to promote your business with our reasonable and affordable advertising rates. You can participate by suggesting, sharing, and submitting your stories on the California Crusader newspaper Community Share Facebook group page, or visit our website at cal-cruise-news.com. That's calcruisenews.com. Then click on the Submit Now button located on the top right corner of the homepage, or text CCN to 42828. Again, text CCN to 42828. The California Crusader newspaper, working together to build a better community for our future. Subscribe today.
Curating the most compelling stories and delivering them straight to your ears. You're listening to RSVP with Jill Munroe on KBLA Talk 1580.
Had to vibe out for a little bit. Shout out to Kamal, making sure that the vibes stay intact. You are locked into RSVP with Jill Munroe here on KBLA Talk 1580. Of course, this is the show where we hit all the trending topics and headlines across entertainment, sports, lifestyle, and culture. Happy hump day, y'all. We are locked in with Trent the artist.
What's poppin'? Thanks for having me here.
Of course, we love you, and the chat loves you too. Pretty
Thank you.
Brown Mimi just said, Jill, I hope Trent joins you daily. You really pop as a duo. Love the energy. She's advocating for you. She wants you to be here.
Thank you.
Let's see what else. There's more in the chat. Urban Spinster said, and this goes back to our Tubi conversation, I couldn't believe the wife and mom in God Forgives. I'm sure there are people out there like her. She basically, pimped her own child. So, you guys, listen, if you haven't checked it out, go check out God Forgives I Don't and let us know what you thought of it. I will be catching up. I have a lot of catching up to do overviews over the weekend. There's a couple of things I need to tap in on, but we're going to make it happen. So, we have to get into this topic, and we teased it a little bit at the top of the hour, about those dealing with unrequited love. You know, you might have been in a relationship with someone. You might have just been, getting to know each other, and you thought it was going one way and it actually went another way for whatever reason. Maybe the person ghosted you. Maybe they just said, we should just be friends. And you can't seem to get over it. So this topic came about because I saw on Instagram, Just Living Baby. I think she was on Love and Hip Hop for a period of time or something like that. I know she's a pretty popular Instagram personality. She was talking about feeling really lonely and how it was hard for her to get past this one relationship. And she said she doesn't even really know why. Just she was really, really connected, really felt this person. They've told her it's not going to work. Hey, it's not you. But she can't get past it. So, Trent, I want to know from you, have you ever experienced a situation like that? And if so, what type of advice? Because, again, as we spoke about earlier, I think people are more disconnected now. So these are the type of things, of course, they've always happened, but I think that now they kind of hit differently.
But I think that's probably the reason why she can't get over it, because there was a connection. And I think that because in this day and age, because there aren't any connections, and then when you actually get with somebody that you are connected with and it kind of goes awry, there's something with that. I've been her before. One of my early relationship in my 20s. In love, okay? Couldn't get enough. And they were like,
thanks.
Not so much. And it took a while for me to like comprehend that. Like it wasn't stalking. And I wasn't doing anything like, crazy. And I guess it didn't kind of help that the person kept engaging me, even though they said that they didn't want a relationship.
Right.
But they kept carrying on like it was actually a relationship.
They wanted your energy, but didn't want to be responsible for it.
Correct. So at a certain point, you got to kind of let that go. And you have to really understand that you're being used and drained. And no one wants to be used and drained. And not have an exchange for it.
What I always say is that people don't mind being used; they mind being discarded.
Some people don't. I don't like being used or drained. I don't like being exhausted. I can be exhausted by myself and on my own. And it's hard to be in a situation like that. And I'll even use my last relationship, for example. Strong connection. Like, almost like, wait a minute. Is this too good to be true, right? And something kind of happens. So you kind of just like.
Do you find yourself in those type of situations always, maybe if you can't get it back with that person, but looking for that feeling?
I think you
and
always
deeming
do.
If you don't get that feeling for someone, you may get a spark or something, but if it doesn't feel like, nothing necessarily will feel the exact same way, but if it doesn't feel like connected to you at that point, is that what you think maybe makes people, gun shy, or they just keep trying people until they think that they can recreate what happened?
Some people do. It's almost, and I hate to use this, like I hear drug addicts say that they chase that first hit. So it's almost like you're looking for that same thing in somebody else. Interesting, oddly enough, my last relationship, it kind of reset like the prototype. So people say I have a type, right?
Do you think you have a type?
I don't think I have a type per se. I think that I have a certain aesthetic.
So you have an aesthetic that you look for, but not so much a personality type.
Not a personality type.
Here's the thing:
yeah.
if you have an aesthetic, you have a type.
And it's not but see, I'm not like bound to that though.
Here's the thing:
I like it, but I don't chase that.
Just because you have a type doesn't mean that you have to be bound to it. Yeah. But it doesn't mean that there is an absence of it. You might this guy,
but here's
he
the
looks
thing.
like this, or this
At
girl looks like this.
At a certain point, you have to realize that the type is not working, and you got to change some stuff up and fine tune it. Right?
Have you changed and fine tuned?
I have.
Okay.
Which is why I was gonna say, like, my last relationship, it kind of reset kind of the blueprint, and the kind of the type that I kind of go for. So it changed a lot of things, and it helped me fine tune. It's like, okay, you've repeated that before. This is not. Okay, this is you. So it helps you, and you have to be willing to have these conversations with yourself. And a lot of people aren't being real about what they like and the things that they attract and what they need to fix and fine tune.
So let me ask you this: because you found that your type per se is not working for you, are you dismissing anyone that fits the aesthetic, or when you think about it, is it more personality traits that you find?
It's more personality. It's like, oh, you know what? Okay, I see what's going on here. I've attracted this before. This is not. It's me. I need to switch this up. But sometimes it's like, I see somebody like, oh, you know what? You're the kind of type I will go for, but nah, I'm not even doing it. You could be different, but because I always kind of go for this, like, let me switch this up because now you're serial and crazy.
Okay.
And I had to
get that a lot?
I had to have a conversation with myself because I went back and looked at like the last 3 or 4, and I was like, you know what? You serial. This looked like the same person and different,
So let me ask you this.
Yeah.
So just because it looked like the same person, did the same type of, along with the aesthetic, were the traits or the things that make the relationship not move forward still there across all 3?
No. It's so funny. This is the last time I attracted myself.
Okay.
So I dated myself.
It's funny, Urban Spinster says in the comments, narcissists keep coming back to keep their supply of attention going.
True. Facts.
And Pretty Brown Mimi says, I'll tell you how I got over my ex. I cried, I prayed, and I ate.
That's true,
but
too.
6 months was better.
I didn't eat, though.
You didn't eat?
I starved myself this time.
You starved yourself?
Yeah. I didn't starve myself. I walked. I made healthier choices, actually, this time.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So, well, when we come forward, we'll have more on this topic, more trending topics and headlines. But this is what I want you to ponder.
Yeah.
While we're getting ready for this, right? Do you think that just switching up an aesthetic can change the atmosphere? I want you to think about that. And we'll get into more in these trending topics and headlines. We are going to get Trent's answer to what is happening, the situation of unrequited love. And I saw that Prester John had a comment. He said, I think guys date themselves with every shower. Yep, so you're checking out RSVP with Jill Munroe here on KBLA Talk 1580.
Not what I was talking.
RSVP with Jill Munroe is your go-to show for staying in the know. More engaging conversation when we come forward on KBLA Talk 1580.
All I need is one mic.
With a KBLA Talk 1580 editorial, I'm Tavis Smiley. As black folk, we know how to face tragedy and not fall into despair. And yet sometimes the points of pain are felt so acutely, especially when we know full well that we're being treated unfairly by our so-called justice system that at times appears to be anything but just. After more than 30 years of public service, Mark Willie Thomas is set to be sentenced on Monday, August 21st, for his conviction on bribery and conspiracy in a federal corruption trial. As you well know, Willie Thomas was found not guilty on 12 of the 19 counts the feds brought against him. This is not your typical corruption case. No lavish trips, no victim, no cash in a brown bag or stashed away in a freezer, no illegal contributions from a wealthy donor, no money received by the accused, no use of taxpayer dollars. There is therefore no need to incarcerate Ridley Thomas to protect the community. Indeed, the probation department has recommended a mere 18-month sentence. But the feds, they want MRT to serve 6 years. 6 years. How is that fair? This happens far too often to defendants who just happen to look a lot like you and me. First, they target you. Then they overcharge you. Then they fight to keep certain folk off the jury. Then they spend millions of your tax dollars prosecuting a victimless $100,000 criminal allegation. Then, typically, they win, and why shouldn't they? In reality, no case of the United States government against you is really a fair trial, if you feel me. Then, after they win, they ask for a sentence of more than 3 times what the probation department is recommending. Again, I ask, how is that fair? I read the federal government's summary document regarding the sentencing of MRT, and the charged language they use is both revealing and despicable. You can clearly see their disdain for the constituent community, for the black clergy who have stood with MRT, and mostly for MRT, daring to exercise his constitutional right to even go to trial to defend himself. The feds demanding a 6-year sentence in this case is their way of punishing an uppity Negro who dared to fight back. Let's hope that the judge in this case sees through this racist masquerade and delivers a sentence of time commensurate with the crime, even as MRT appeals this verdict. There are no good times to be black in America, and sometimes are worse than others. For KBLA Talk 1580, I'm Tavis Smiley. We welcome your comments.
Now back to more captivating conversation on RSVP with Jill Munroe.
Hey, you're locked in with Jill Munroe here on RSVP with Jill Munroe on KBLA Talk 1580. The YouTube chat, they're getting spicy in there. If you are not a part of that community, I advise you to tap in with them as you listen to RSVP with Jill Munroe on KBLA Talk 1580 or download the app. But right now, the YouTube community, there's a conversation happening there. It's pretty wild. It's pretty deep. So Trent, the artist, we were talking about, coping with unrequited love and dealing with that and just wanting to go on a date. And I've heard people talk about like the apps and utilizing the apps, but people on the apps aren't necessarily really serious. They're just looking to pass time. We talked about a few weeks back that a study was done that said about 70% of the people that are on dating apps are already in, or they stay on the dating apps after they get into a relationship. Some say they just stay there to see if they still got it. You never know what else might be going on, but do you just think that right now we're at a point where people don't know how to connect in relationships anymore, and we're just headed to a really interesting future as far as that's concerned?
I think people are not connecting with themselves. That's where it starts. You have to know yourself, inside and out before you can actually think that you're about to be in a healthy, committed, stable relationship. And even when you know yourself, the other person may not know themselves, and there becomes an imbalance at a certain point. And unless you are strong enough to work through those things and talk about them, it's not gonna last.
So Pretty Brown Mimi says, I think men get over breakups faster than women. I
responded to that.
I saw that. Prester John
true.
says, I think it depends. And I do think it depends. Urban Spencer says, not really. It's just socially acceptable for men to jump from bed to bed. They are not actually over the last person. That is true. The old saying, they said the best way to get over someone is to get under someone new.
Yeah, find somebody new.
So, maybe I do think that, and that is kind of changing, but I also think that we forget oftentimes in relationships, a lot of times people leave the relationship before the relationship actually ends. They are Coco, and what Coco is what I used to work with this guy, and he used to always say, I'm checked out, because he was about to go on his sabbatical for a period of time. And so he would walk around the office going, I'm checked out. Don't tap into me with anything. So I feel like sometimes, with men, they're Coco. They're already checked out of the relationship. They're thinking about what they want to do and how they want to do it. That's not to imply that they are not, hurt or messed up. I think they are better at covering it because that is what men have been sort of guided to do. They're not supposed to show their emotions. You can't do that.
I've taken too many shots.
Okay.
So I don't think I'm doing a good job.
Okay. Well, Prester John says, we feel lost too. It's painful to split with the person you respect and who you shared major life events
with.
I mean, sometimes you don't even necessarily have to, you're saying very, very deep. I mean, people sometimes, and in just Living Baby's case, which is what spurred this conversation, it didn't sound like it was deep committed, like we lived together. It sounds like someone maybe, they just enjoyed each other's company, maybe dated, spent some time together, had some type of connection.
It was just a connection. I think that people in this day and age, because there's a lack in connection, that you get so excited that when you connect with somebody, it can burn out just as quick as it started if you don't nurture it properly. I think Janet Jackson said it best. Let's wait a while. Let's, take our time. Let's not rush into this and let this nurture and grow.
I mean, because for me, what I have always found is I know, I love passion. We love those instant things. But I feel like I don't want to get to know you and discover I don't really like you. And that can definitely happen. You meet someone's representative. So let's just slow it down and I'm a Taurus, so tracks, right?
Yeah.
We like things a little slower. But I really think that there's something to be said about conversations, and not, of course, you can prompt someone and set them up with scenarios, but sometimes that doesn't go bad. But just in authentic conversations, you see how they respond to the world. You see how they respond to how they respond to things that are happening out there, and that gives you a better clue into maybe how they would handle difficult situations with you, or
And
different
see,
types of things.
that's the thing. I think that I'll even use my last example. Like, it was almost like perfect and too good to be true. And I think is when you find somebody that you really, really like, you in there with them, and you do have difficult moments, and then you work through those, but then something like just happens where it's like y'all two different people, and it's just like, you know what, this is not gonna really work. And I think also people should just, first of all, with men, we experience hurt just like the anybody else.
Yeah, you're human. You got
We
feelings.
just don't we don't talk about them because we've never been taught to really.
Boys don't cry. That's
Yeah,
the adage.
exactly.
That is how that is how
Exactly.
men were socialized. That is how they were raised. They are not raised to nurture those feelings, to connect with them. We're getting past the language of men being soft because you show emotion.
And because of that,
the only way it's acceptable to show emotion
is
is
angry.
if no. There are times you lose a sporting event. Sometimes you're allowed to show emotion. You could have that one thug tear. The homie dies, a family member dies,
Yeah.
a parent dies. You're allowed to drop that one thug Denzel tear,
And
right?
anger. Those are the only
And
two
anger,
emotions. Yes.
exactly. So those are the 3 times I think men are given agency to, and explore those.
Honestly, I think that we feel deeper because we have to repress so much,
That's an interesting way to look at it.
and we feel more. And if you ever,
Is it that you feel more, or you don't know how to sort through the feelings because you're not allowed the space
No,
to
it's
relax
what
into
I
them and
said.
explore them?
We have to.
You're like, no, it's what I said, girl.
No, it's
I'm
not, no, not
joking.
like-
I'm
yeah,
joking.
but-
I'm
yeah,
joking.
But we have to repress it, and we go through all the traumas, but because we can't talk about it, it's just a deeper repression. So we feel almost everything twice as much as women do. We just don't have the space to really vocalize it. If you catch a guy in a really vulnerable moment, you'll be surprised at how deep it goes.
Okay.
It's actually a little scary.
So, how do you know you're in those vulnerable moments?
Oh, you know.
You just know.
You know.
Gut instinct.
You feel
kicks
it.
in.
You feel it, and there's no way to deny it because you talk about things that you probably never talked about and touched on before.
Let me ask you this. Do you think that, because you've mentioned it earlier a couple times, and you mentioned it with yourself, that because people lack authentic ways to connect in some ways at this age, and that is something that you find people are drawn to you because they have a really good conversation, do you think that we are somewhat losing the ability to distinguish between light attraction and real relationships, or mistaking a connection does not mean that it's the connection per se? I feel like that's something that you have to kind of evolve. We all hear love at first sight and those type of things, but what are your kind of thoughts on that?
I think there are a lot of line blurring. I think there's always been line blurring
Of course.
in history, but I think that we're also at a point now where things are so clear and so upfront that there's almost no room for mistaking, because people just kind of have diarrhea of the mouth. It's just kind of just blurt out things now. So it's almost impossible to think that you are in a situation because people are so transparent and clear. They feel like they can say anything. Sometimes they say too much.
Okay, so restraint is a lost art. But then why are people having so many problems getting into relationships? Because what I find really interesting about this era now,
Because they don't want to be in them.
I think they do. I don't think that the feelings that she was expressing, I think a lot of people want to be in situations. We've seen studies on it, but they don't know how to really have those connections come together. They don't know how to be a boyfriend or a girlfriend.
The answer is you don't want to be in one. She was chasing somebody that did not want to be in a relationship. People don't want to be in relationships. What they want is they want convenience.
Yes.
They want access.
Yes.
They want energy. They don't want the commitment.
Right. They don't want to have to give or mirror any of that back. They just want to soak it all up.
And they don't want to go through the difficult moments. People want happy moments where everything is easy peasy and, a button and a swipe and no difficult stuff. Because at the first sight of difficulty, they run. Because that's how my relationship crumbled. As soon as it got difficult, Boom, there it goes.
I think people like difficulties a little bit because I think that more than ever, drama fuels some of what people view as excitement.
We're talking about real difficulty. Like, you lose your job, what you gonna do? You ain't got no money, and we're in a relationship. How's this gonna work?
Apparently, if you're like the guy,
it's not fake chaos
that
where
stalked his girl. He lost it. He found some free time. That's what he was gonna do. Become a stalker.
A mess. No. People need to just really pull it together for real.
Well, VIPs, we are coming down to the end of the hour. Trent, the artist, our contributor on Wednesdays, always good for some eye-opening thoughts and views, captivating conversation, as we like to say around here. Remind everyone where they can check you out on social media.
At Trent, the artist, just the way it sounds, TRENT, the artist, ARTIST, on Instagram, Twitter, aka X, Facebook. YouTube.
I'm never calling it X.
It's Twitter.
I'm never calling it X.
Yeah, just like I'm not calling it Fox Hills Mall Westfield.
That's right.
And the Staples Center Crypto.
That's right. Well, VIPs, thank you for locking into RSVP with Jill Munroe. Make sure that you are clocked in and ready to check out our show tomorrow night. When we come forward, you will be locked into the best of KBLA. I thank you so much for your time. Remember to check me out at Stiletto Jill everywhere. Give me your commentary, give me your feedback, and meet me here, VIPs, tomorrow, 9 p.m. same time. Have an amazing night, and thank you for always clocking in to KBLA Talk 1580.
KBLA 1580 Santa Monica.
Good morning, everyone. I'm Mike Moore. Welcome to a Tuesday. Here's the latest from the Black Information Network. President Biden is backing UAW members as they seek new contracts with 3 Detroit, Michigan automakers. Biden asked the automakers yesterday to reach a contract agreement, taking every possible step to avoid painful plant closings. In Illinois, African-American Mayor Brandon Johnson isn't going into detail about